You've been so busy making yourself easy to be around that you stopped noticing you were doing it. And one day someone asks you a simple question, what do you like to do for fun? And you go completely blank. Not because you don't have an answer, because you've been so focused on everyone else's answer for so long, yours disappeared. Hey, friends, I'm Sandy Bartlett, and this is Journey to Self Power Beyond People Pleasing, the podcast for second spring women who are done shrinking to fit spaces that were never meant to hold all of them. Today, we're talking about what waking up actually feels like when people pleasing has been your operating system for decades. And I'll warn you, it doesn't feel the way you think it will. But before we go further, I pulled cards for this episode. Two actually came through stuck together, which kind of feels fitting for what we're talking about today. The first card says, believe you're naturally intuitive, value and validate your sixth sense. If you've been doubting your intuition lately, this card is assurance that your sixth sense is an important, innate, sacred part of your internal GPS for navigating life. Practice trusting your intuition regarding minor issues, and it will begin performing better. Own and recognize your power. Believe in yourself. The second card says, alert, intuition growth spurt. You are currently experiencing a general increase in your intuitive ability or gaining access to a new psychic pathway. Just like physical growth spurts you experience in childhood, an intuition growth spurt may seem awkward or uncomfortable at first, but you'll soon adjust. Sensitivity exists on a spectrum, and yours has shifted. Two cards, both about trusting what you already know, both about the discomfort that comes when your inner knowing starts getting louder than the noise you've been trained to follow. I want you to sit with that for a moment before we go further, not to analyze it, just to notice what your body does when it receives something meant specifically for it. That noticing, that's part of what today is about. If you're somewhere in this right now, if something is starting to stir and you want a space to do that waking up in community rather than alone, I want to invite you into Journey to Self, the Awakening. It's my community for second spring women who are ready to stop turning themselves down. The link is in the show notes. Now, let's go deeper. Most women think awakening looks like a moment of sudden clarity, like something shifts and you just know. And sometimes that's true. But for a woman who has spent years, maybe even decades, reading every room she walks into and deciding how much of herself is safe to bring out today, awakening doesn't start with clarity. It starts with disorientation. You begin to notice the adjustment happening in real time. You catch yourself mid-sentence, making yourself smaller. You feel the moment you override your own knowing to keep the peace. You notice the scan you do before you speak. Will this land wrong? Will this be too much? Will they still want me around if I say the real thing? And once you see it, you can't unsee it. That's uncomfortable. And it's supposed to be. That discomfort, it's not a sign something is wrong with you. It's a sign something is finally working right. There are two versions of most women I work with. One is the version the world has shaped. careful, managed, attuned to everyone else's reactions. The other is the one underneath, the one who has opinions and energy and something specific to say, the one who wants to take up space she actually occupies. The work is not about getting rid of the first one. She kept you safe. She learned what she learned for a reason. The work is about stopping the automatic reach for her every time the real one starts to come through. I remember the exact moment I realized how far I had drifted from myself. I'd just come out of my divorce, raw, uncertain, not really ready for anything. And a friend meant well and dragged me to a church singles event. I felt like I didn't belong there from the second I walked in. And a man looked at me and asked the most ordinary question, "What do you like to do for fun?" And I froze. I literally froze. My mind went completely blank. I think I made something up. I honestly don't even remember what I said. What I remember is the panic underneath it, the realization that I didn't have a real answer, not because I never had fun, but because I had spent so many years inside someone else's preferences, someone else's schedule, someone else's version of who I should be, that I had no idea what was actually mine anymore. I had shapeshifted so completely to survive that I had nothing left to offer, not even to myself. That wasn't a crisis. Looking back now, that was the beginning. The moment the pattern got loud enough that I couldn't pretend I didn't hear it. For your inner reflection, here's the question I want you to sit with after this episode. Not during, after. Let it settle first. Where in your life are you still dimming before anyone even asks you to? Not in a general way, in a specific way, a specific room, a specific person, a specific conversation you keep having a toned down version of. That's where the tug of war is still happening. For our whispers of wisdom, I'm going to butcher this name, I'm sure. Anais Nin wrote, "And the day came when the risk to remain tight in a bud was more painful than the risk it took to blossom." That line isn't about courage as a feeling. It's about a threshold, the point where staying small finally costs more than stepping forward. For women who people please, that threshold comes quietly, not with a trumpet, but with a steady, persistent ache that something true is being left unsaid. This week, for your empowerment action, I want you to try one thing, just one. Pick one moment, one ordinary moment this week where you notice the adjustment starting to happen, where you feel yourself about to turn it down. And instead of adjusting, just pause. You don't have to say the thing. You don't have to do anything differently. Just pause long enough to notice that you were about to. That pause is not small. That pause is the whole first step. Waking up as a people pleaser doesn't arrive with fanfare. It arrives as a quiet, lightly uncomfortable recognition. A moment where you catch yourself mid-adjustment and something in you says, wait. That wait is everything. Until next time, be true to you.